Hello. My computer is lagging.
With roadmaps and Jira software, quickly adapt and adjust to changing.
Old question. Where did we come from?
Okay, so we are watching the second part of what I was doing yesterday, which is the actual debate from Ken Ham and Bill Nye, and I'm gonna have a lot to say about it, so I'm sorry if I pause it a lot, just no matter how many times I see this, it makes me want to scream. Apparently, last night my live got banned for copyright. Oh, you know what? This is actually what got my live banned for copyright. I forgot about that. So we are not watching that. We will watch something else because Ken Ham is a bitch who likes to who likes to copyright strike people whenever they point out how stupid he is. So we're gonna go to fucking what's it called? I've done this before, but we're gonna go to PragerU because they don't copyright strike like Ken Ham does, and I've talked about them before. So Daily does of finishing two different. Oh my god, felt that. Okay. See, they don't. I want to talk about stupid creationist stuff. This is mostly political stuff, but they do have a lot of stupid creationist videos. They're just. Do they have a stupid creationist? Ooh, they have a kids show. That's gonna be bad. I don't even. Ooh. Okay, but I want stupid creationist stuff. 10 Commandments. Is it just the 10 Commandments? Can we have some other stupid religious stuff? There we go, religion and philosophy. Just get ready. Okay, I don't want to talk about Islam because I literally put creationist in the title, so.
As a therapist,
Ooh, I showed this to my mom. She did not like it. Okay, this is called Why Even Atheists Should Teach Their Children About God. Let's fucking go.
Often asked why depression and anxiety are so common among children and adolescents. One explanation, almost surely the most neglected, is declining interest in God and religion.
No. Just no. It's neglected because there's no science behind it. Statistics exist. How are you today? Man, I am fucking angry because some bitch just spammed my comment section saying pay for my diagnosis with no actual argument, and then responded to someone else's comment acting like I was being immature, and I'm like, bitch, you left like 20 comments. Like, calm down. And they're all the same comment. They're just copy and pasted. The only good thing PragerU has ever done is bring me to the first stream of yours. Honestly, valid. I mean, they're funny, but the sad thing is people actually believe in them, and this video is predominantly upvoted, so.
I see the consequences of this in my practice almost every day. And this is not merely my personal observation.
This whole video just hurts me. Same, man.
A study involving 5,000 people examined how being raised in a family with religious beliefs affects the mental health of children.
Fun fact, my dad, who's not religious, was actually genuinely terrified of hell even after he stopped being religious. So, that's... yeah, no. Mental health is PragerU is like the Dr. Phil of the internet. Oh my god, yeah, basically. At least Dr. Phil is fucking funny, though.
The study found that kids who attended a religious service at least once per week scored higher on psychological well-being measurements and had lower risks of mental illness.
No, I think it's actually that they stigmatize mental illness so heavily in Christianity that it's very hard for them to admit whenever they have a problem. And a lot of religious parents will not even take their child to a therapist. So I'm going to go with no. I'm going to go with you are ignoring a lot of facts right there.
Weekly attendance was also associated with higher rates of volunteerism, lower probabilities of both drug use and early sexual initiation.
Okay. Okay, volunteer thing, as much as it's good, you can count working at your church as volunteer hours, so that's a very much manipulated point. And the early, like, basically premarital sex thing, it's because it's not allowed. It's because they will relentlessly judge you for it, not because, like, also, what about the fucking priests, you know? But... also, as long as you're not, like, 12, there's nothing inherently wrong with sex before marriage. Like, I mean, as long as you're an adult. Like, I don't know, I lost my virginity at, like, 17. That's not that abnormal.
And a sense of purpose. Yet despite all the evidence that religious involvement leads to positive behaviors, Gallup reports that the U.S. has seen a 20% decrease in attendance at formal religious services.
Well, thank fucking God.
In the past 20 years. In 2018, the American Family Survey revealed that nearly half of adults under 30 do not identify with any religion.
I am proudly a part of those under 30 adults who do not identify with any religion. Good for me. Can confirm from going to a religious school that many people felt bad having mental health issues and never wanted to talk about it. Yeah, I had a friend in high school, actually. We do not talk anymore. She is not homophobic anymore, thankfully. But she used to be really homophobic and transphobic, and I don't know if she's transphobic or not. I know she's not homophobic anymore. I don't talk to her anymore. But yeah, she had a lot of mental health issues, and she grew up in an evangelical cult. And mind you, if you look up the Antioch Church of Waco, it's a cult. People were kidnapped by the Taliban on a mission trip from them. And I actually met her through, I have autism and she also has autism. And I actually met her through this like social skills kind of group therapy-esque thing. And it was the only kind of non-religious therapy she was allowed to do. And like, and she's still super religious, mind you. So like she didn't have an issue with seeing a religious therapist or whatever, but her mom like shamed her whenever she would cry, and she had a lot more severe autism than I do, and she would get like sensory overload and she would cry or freak out or whatever, and her mom like got mad at her for it. And I'm like, I'm a Christian, but half of the I don't know how to pronounce that. Yeah, I mean, I don't like Christianity as a concept. I'm not, by the way, I'm not trying to generalize that all Christians are like this. The whole YouTube channel is fucking absurd. So if you're Christian and you're watching this and I say something negative about Christianity, I am aiming it at the people who made this video, not at you specifically. I mean, I am going to say that is bad, but that's actually a logical fallacy. I cannot remember. No True Scotsman fallacy. Basically saying you're not a true whatever, you're not following the true Bible, not necessarily just with religion, but just with anything. Or like, for example, here's a non-religious example, someone saying someone's not a true vegan if they do it for health reasons instead of moral reasons, that kind of thing. The Bible is so filled with contradictory and hypocritical verses that you can use it to pretty much justify any belief, because it's just so wishy-washy that you can pluck out a verse and say, this verse is why I'm not homophobic, or this verse is why I am homophobic, or this verse is why I don't eat shellfish, this verse is why I do eat shellfish. Like, it just has so many tiny little thingies in it, like, that there really is no true Christianity because it's just so wishy-washy. Yo, someone had to ban me from a server because I wasn't Christian enough. That is so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. I would be pissy, especially if I was actually Christian. Watching this in the background in religion class, lol. Oh my god, that's pretty funny. What is a pocket donut? I am scared to ask that question.
From a purely psychological point of view, this is not a good trend. Nihilism, the belief in nothing, is a rich fertilizer.
She can't even say nihilism right. She said nihilism. Isn't this your job? You should know how to say nihilism. Jesus Christ.
For anxiety and depression.
And also, I'm a nihilist, and it actually helps me feel much better whenever I make mistakes, because I know that there's no grander purpose of it, and I'll die in 50 years and no one will remember. So nihilism can actually be a positive thing for some people, although it's not very commonly. For me, nihilism is actually more of an up-looking thing for me than feeling like someone's watching me all the time. The Bible is used a lot to hide behind. Yeah, it really is. You can use it to pretty much justify anything except that. Actually, I was going to say to justify that everything except God doesn't exist, but the best way to turn someone an atheist is to make them actually read the Bible from cover to cover. Can't read my first comment. My dad exploded and gave me donuts that have been in his pocket for 2 days. I'm sorry that he got mad at you, but that's really funny. If I were a parent, that seems like something I would do, except I hate children and I will never have children. But if I was, that seems like something I would do, is apologize by giving someone pocket donuts.
In contrast, the belief in God, a guardian figure who loves us, is an invaluable source of support and comfort.
He loves you so much that he's going to send you to hell if you don't base your entire life around him, because he's selfish.
I'm often asked by parents, how do I talk to my child about death if I don't believe in God or heaven? My answer is always the same. Fake it. There are many things you don't tell your children the full truth about. Yeah,
so lie to your children. We love that. Don't lie to your children. my parents never really had to talk to me about death. I'm a pretty morbid person. I always kind of understood it. But you know what my parents did whenever, like, my first hamster died? They were just like, he got sick and passed away, and he loved you very much, and I'm sorry that he's gone, and that was the whole thing. And of course I was sad, but that was enough for me. Like, I didn't need some poppies in heaven. Like, no, you can just say this is what happened to him, and I'm sorry that you lost him. Like, you don't need to make up some bullshit about it. Are you drunk again? No, I'm actually very hungover, so I'm probably not going to drink tonight. I'm just very angry at this video. But, you don't need to lie to your children. Whenever I was like 7 and my fucking hamster died, saying he got cancer and you're not going to see him again, I'm sorry for your loss, was enough for me. Like, it was sad. It didn't make it any less sad, but you don't need to make it less sad because it's never going to get less sad whenever something dies. So there's no point in lying about it. Not going to lie, my church is right about this, but it scares me when a child says they'd, quote, spend every day like it's your last, because anxiety doesn't work like that. Yeah, literally. Like, don't get me wrong, churches can do some good, but it doesn't. I don't think religion can do any good that secularist ideas can't do. Like, not that it doesn't do good, because there is good. There's really great religious charities. There's people, like, there's actually a church walking distance to my house that actually has, like, this little building that homeless people can just go sleep in. And it has a lock on the door and everything. It's actually really nice. And like, that's great, but you don't have to have religion to do that. And as much as I'm never going to bash a church for doing something great like that, it's not, people will say that, oh, well, these are good things about religion, as though they can't exist without religion, and that very much frustrates me. How are your bunnies? He is eating. I just fed him, so he is not over here. Hey, Cotton, he didn't get mad at me. He just ran into my room and gave them to me. Oh, I thought you meant that he, like, got angry at you and apologized with them. My 2 cats ran out of my house in Arizona. My parents told me they gave them away, and I believed it. My dad just randomly told me they were... Oh, I'm sorry. That's sad. I'm sorry. I had 2 rabbits, and they both died, and my family didn't do the whole heaven bullshit. We found the rabbits. Oh, I'm sorry. Just for future reference, if you ever get rabbits again, please... Sorry, hiccup. Don't keep them outside, because that happens.
For instance, if your children hear about a tragedy that has occurred in your community, you tell them that it will never happen to them. You don't have a crystal ball and cannot know that bad things will not happen to our children.
Yeah, but that's so much more of a basic lie. It's just a comforting lie, not just an entire worldview that you made up.
Yet we reassure them with a hopeful narrative. The same applies to believing in God and heaven. Even if you believe that when your life ends, your bones turn to dust and you are gone for eternity, such beliefs don't help children. They only scare them and create anxiety over death and dying.
Well, you don't have to say you're dead forever and your life is meaningless. You can just leave out the God part. It's not either or.
Belief in a benevolent God and a heaven does help children with their fear. In our current age of broken families, distracted parents, school violence, and nightmarish global warming predictions,
at least she believes in global warming. I can give her that.
imagination plays a big part in children's ability to cope. It is far better for kids to use their imagination constructing something positive, such as a God who cares about us, than the dark nihilistic idea that...
Fucking say nihilistic right. I swear to God, if she says nihilistic one more time, I'm going to throw my laptop.
There's no creator and protector, and no purpose to our existence. I am also frequently asked how parents can instill gratitude and empathy in their children. Again, the best answer is involvement in an organized religion.
No, it's not. It's being a good role model. It's really that easy. If you're a good and generous person yourself, your children will follow after that. You don't need to make up... Also, her face looks really funny right now. You don't have to make up some whole giant story. You can just be a good role model.
All traditional faiths encourage gratitude and empathy.
I love how she says traditional faiths whenever she's obviously referring to Abrahamic religions. Nihilistic pronunciation, go burr. Literally, I just want to fucking punt this lady every time she says... I don't even know... How was she saying it? Nihilistic? I don't know. Wrong. Wrong is how she's saying it. How do you install gratitude? You get a little USB drive and just stab it into yourself. Put the gratitude file on it.
Antidotes to entitlement and selfishness. These are the building blocks of strong character. They also protect against depression and anxiety.
No, they don't. I feel like I can be a pretty empathetic person. I don't know if I'm the most... What is the, like, adjective version of gratitude? I don't know. I don't think I'm necessarily the most gratitudinous. That's a word, but I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know. I'm not the most that word, but I feel like I can be empathetic, but I can do that without religion. You don't need religion for that. You just need to be a good person. Gratitude EXE has stopped working. Literally.
Additionally, religion provides children a chance for community.
Because, you know, school doesn't do that. You don't, that's not what, school totally doesn't do that. You know, going to therapy groups doesn't do that. Online doesn't do that. Fandoms don't do that. There's totally no other opportunities for community other than church.
Being with people who share their faith can act...
I find it so weird that we think we need religion in order to be a good person. Like, what? Believing in God as a child made me way more anxious and afraid than I had. I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. But yeah, thankfully that also seems to be a minority Christian belief that you can't be a good person without religion. But I hate the people who say atheists can't be moral. Like, what? So if you found out God didn't exist one day, you just go kill someone because God's not there to tell you not to? Like, I sure fucking hope not. Like, just be a good person to be a good person. You don't have to believe in objective morality to treat people with human decency. I don't follow religion, but that doesn't mean I know. Yeah, I mean, you can be unhappy and an atheist or unhappy and a Christian. I would rather be an unhappy atheist than an unhappy Christian. So, some churches can also be the most toxic communities. Yeah, like I mentioned, my friend who was in that cult, I went to church with her all the time, and I never believed in it, but I just wanted to spend time with her, and she wanted me to go because she wanted to convert me or whatever, and I was like, I'm not going to believe in it, but I want to spend time with you, whatever, so I would go with her, and, like, there were some fun parts of it. There were fun parts of it. We went, they had, like, bands, they would sing music, they had donuts and shit, like, that was fun, but at the same time, it was also extremely homophobic, and tried to indoctrinate, like, we were, like, 15 at the time, tried to indoctrinate, like, people who were barely in high school, and I'm like, you can get all of those good community aspects without the bad ones that come with church. Ah, yes, no God means fun murder time, literally. My sister's view on religion is interesting. She thinks that after death, everything goes to what religion... I've actually heard people say that. I don't believe in that, but I do think that's an interesting concept. I kind of wish that was the way it worked. As much as I don't believe in that, I think it's one of the more interesting philosophies that exists.
Is a buffer against the emptiness and isolation of modern culture. This is
modern culture, shut up.
A world where teens can have hundreds of virtual friends and few real ones. And religion helps teach children mindfulness, a sense of self-control and discipline.
Bitches are really blaming the internet.
May not be aware they are entering a house of worship, but they do know they're supposed to act in an appropriate manner when they are there. They have to relax their bodies and calm their mind.
School? Therapy? Again?
It is true.
I went to fucking Comic-Con whenever I was a child, and I feel like that was better community than any of the times I ever went to church, so how about you take your children to Comic-Con instead? I vote we replace church with a weekly Comic-Con.
That if you feel ambivalent about God and religion, your children will likely follow your example. However...
Good, yes, they should... Sorry, I didn't finish exhaling my vape. I think that would be good if they did that, because then we would have no more religion, and the world would be at least a slightly better place, if not at least a more honest one.
If you practice religion, or send your children to religious school, knowing it is good for them, you might surprise yourself and get something meaningful out of it too. In other words, your children may bring you back to faith.
I don't think any atheists want to do that. That's not a good argument whenever this lady is trying to argue to atheists, and she's like, saying that, like, most atheists want to go back to being religious. I don't think that... I've never met an atheist in my family or in life that started out religious and wants to go back to it. Like, that's not positive. Churches become Comic-Con, I'm all for it. Literally, I think we should replace churches with conventions. That's the best way to go. My religion is Marvel now. It just be like that.
It's certainly worth an extended experiment for their sake and for yours. Consider one more...
Did she just call it a fucking experiment? Don't experiment with your child. Wait, is this PragerU? Unfortunately, yes. God, she just makes the weirdest faces every time I pause.
Argument. If you take the idea seriously that your children should be free to choose or reject God and religion, they need to be exposed to God and religion. How?
Yeah, you can't really avoid being exposed to God or religion, at least not in America. They are exposed to it whether or not you want them to be. Taking them to church isn't the way to do that, though. Like, you can, and you don't have to just teach them about Christianity like this lady is saying, or at least Abrahamic religions. Teach them about religion as a concept. Like, I have been exposed to religion my whole life. I mean, I fucking live in Texas, but that doesn't mean... Like, I've had plenty of opportunities in my life to become religious. I don't think they should stop their children from going to church if they want to or anything. But I also think that just indoctrinating your child when you yourself don't even believe in it is not helpful. Iron Man is my god, as it should be. Yes, Iron Man is God. Why does she look like she is held at gunpoint or dead inside? Nothing in between. Yeah, literally. She has, like, so fucking thin lips. It's weird.
How else will they be able to make a free and informed choice?
It's not really a free and informed choice if you indoctrinate them, but whatever.
Idealizes materialism, selfishness, and virtual rather than real human connection.
What is this lady's obsession with the internet?
And a belief in God is the best antidote to all of that. Whether children choose to continue to practice as adults is something you cannot control, but at least give them a chance to believe in God and find comfort in religion. They deserve it.
Okay, I hate kids. I never want kids, but let's say I somehow had kids by some grace of Satan. I would not do that. If they wanted to go to church, that'd be fine. I would let them, but I don't want them to be brought up thinking that God exists.
I'm Erica Komisar, psychoanalyst and author of Chicken Little, The Sky Isn't Falling, Raising Resilient Adolescents in the New Age of Anxiety for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video. To keep Prager
You're not
videos
welcome.
free.
As Syria enters its
Oh my god, I haven't eaten anything in over 24 hours. I'm like so hungry that my stomach hurts, but I hate eating on camera.
I want to tell you something that everybody once knew, and now...
This is called America's Promise, by the way, which, considering it's under the religion tab, I'm somewhat concerned.
Many have either forgotten or never learned. Pay very close attention. America promises you freedom.
They don't do a very good job.
America does not promise you love. Let's start with the freedom part. It's all right.
Children are scary. Yeah, literally.
And the Constitution. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Free speech. Freedom to practice the religion of your choice. The purpose of government is to protect your freedom. Period.
Okay.
America was a rough and tumble place in its early days. It still is. Let's hope it always remains so. You don't want to live in a country where all your needs are taken care of by the government. That's not...
Why would you not, though? A lot of countries function much better that way. You know, free healthcare and shit. I think I would like to live in a country where they pay for my medical bills. Thank you very much. Don't put words in my mouth, Mr. PragerU guy.
That's not how you become great. That's how you become dependent, vulnerable, and truly oppressed.
Oh my god, so now it's oppression to have free healthcare. Okay.
Anyone of any color. Just follow some basic rules. Get an education, work hard, act responsibly, and you'll have a good shot at a good life. But you might also fail.
Bruh, not necessarily. Oppression exists.
You might fail a bunch of times and then succeed. Or you might succeed and blow it off. That's America.
No, that's just life. That's just how living on the earth works. That's not America.
Never-ending dance of risk and reward. All made possible by freedom. Freedom is America's source of power.
Yes, so free that I wasn't legally allowed to marry until like 5 years ago. So very free. So free that I wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom that I wanted to in high school because it was not legally allowed.
Denial of that people and others at the inception of this nation and for nearly 200 years after its founding remains a stain and a source of pain. Yes, some of the founders had slaves, but almost all of them knew that it was morally wrong and would one day end.
Not necessarily. A lot of them did know it was wrong. But those ones usually didn't have slaves. What about Jefferson? He was just a violent racist. Like, Jefferson wanted to fucking keep slavery. Sure, people like Washington and Hamilton and stuff didn't support slavery, but that's just a big generalization there, my dude.
When Thomas Jefferson wrote the words, "All men are created equal," the slavery question was resolved. The only issue was how and when.
It was so resolved that it didn't get resolved for another, like, century. Wow. America is actually a really not free country. Yeah, literally, like, there are so many countries that, like, there is no objective best or worst, maybe worst, because North Korea exists, but other than North Korea, there is no objective worst or best country, I wouldn't say, but America is definitely not up there. I mean, it's a lot better than, like, Syria or, like, Russia, but that doesn't mean it's free. It just means it's better than, like, Russia, which isn't saying much. Though we accept religion, our government says things like, in the name of God, and stuff like that. Yeah, literally, like, we have fucking God on our money. Which, by the way, didn't become a thing until the Cold War. People like to pretend like it's always been there, but it only came into existence in the Cold War whenever America had a surge in religious belief because of the scary atheist communists. Which, I mean, not defending said scary atheist communists, but I am defending the atheist part.
And it took a lot longer than it should have. But it did end. And a lot of good people died on the battlefield to see that it did. And when it ended, giants like Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass understood that black Americans would have to succeed on their own as freedmen and women. They had no illusions that the government would save them. They only wanted what all Americans should ever want the government to do: protect their freedom. But the founders never...
Yeah, like freedom to have healthcare and be alive without having to, like, literally die to fucking get healthcare. Like, part of that is being able to, like, stay alive, so...
never promised love.
It's not love to let people die.
Anyone else. During his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, Martin Luther King referenced freedom 20 times. He never once spoke the word love. Why not? Because America has nothing to do with that. If you want love, and we all do, look to God, your family, and your friends.
Well, there it goes. There we got the God. Love that. God loves you so much he sends you to hell and prevents you from doing normal human behaviors.
The government doesn't love you and isn't supposed to.
Yeah, I think I honestly don't understand why this guy is inserting race into it. I think it's partially because of the reference to slavery at the beginning of it. I understand, because he is a person of color himself, why he personally might insert it into it, which I think is fine. But also, I think that little line of it was not super necessary. But I don't know. I'm not black. I don't really get a say on it. So, as much as I don't like this guy, he has the experience that I don't in that area. So,
the government is a poor and abusive provider. It offers the bare minimum and fosters a dependency that undermines freedom.
Well, that was just so contradictory. Saying it provides the bare minimum, but also gives too much. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay.
During the 2020 Black Lives Matter season,
oh god, here we fucking go.
NBA players actually wore jerseys with the slogan "Love Us" emblazoned on the back. You can't demand love from people.
Bruh, that has nothing to do with the government, though. That's a movement to, like, prevent people from getting murdered. That has nothing to do with the government. Other than police violence, it's a private basketball team. Said private basketball team can put whatever the fuck they want on their jersey.
Love is freely given or not given at all. Telling people not to call you this name or that name, or not to act this way or that way, consciously or unconsciously, because it offends you, will not bring you love. Did
this man actually just defend calling people fucking slurs? I think that's what he was getting at. Or dead naming people. Either way, he was getting at one or both of those things, and I am so not here for it.
Love is your mother's smile, or that look your kid gives you when you come home from work. Love is that man or woman who protects you when you're scared and provides a home where you can flourish. And love is what God offers you
Stop it with the God. You were on an okay track and then you ruined it.
every moment of every day.
Really? Not really. If God loved me so much, I would not be severely mentally ill and disabled, but go off. You can't demand love except whenever it's demanding love to God. Literally. You can't demand love, he says. Have you read the Bible, sir? Have you read it? Have you even read the 10 Commandments? Because that is exactly what they do. Like a third of them are God demanding obedience and love. So I don't know if this man even hasn't read the 10 fucking commandments, but
You're just a social security number, nothing more. And I'm okay with that, because I don't want or expect the government to know or care about me.
You should. Maybe not know you, but care about you. That's kind of their job. So I would hope the government cared about the well-being of its citizens. Like, that's a little depressing, my man.
Mostly, I want the government to leave me alone.
Okay, well, that's fine too. But that doesn't mean everyone wants that.
I'm proud to be an American. And I'm proud to be a black man in America. Blacks have made enormous contributions to this country. But let me tell you what our
How is that relevant to God?
single greatest contribution has been. We have been this nation's moral conscience. Blacks have forced America to live up to its best ideals. Our righteous pursuit of freedom, not love, compelled this nation to seek and find its better self.
See, I can't necessarily disagree with that, but I feel like it's a very manipulated point. Because I agree with that in concept, that a lot of black people in history, particularly during the end of segregation and during the end of slavery, and of course all throughout America, even during slavery, did do that. And I can't necessarily disagree with that, but, like, that's not saying anything about why you think any of this. Like, I don't disagree, but how is that relevant? How is this relevant to the title? Like, I don't know. This man is just going on fucking tangents, like, and then saying, like that random thing. I'm like, yeah, okay, technically I agree with that, but also, why is that relevant to this conversation?
It's been a long, hard road, but we're close to Dr. King's promised land. We have reached the mountaintops in politics, in medicine, in space, in literature, in sports, in music, in business.
Okay, I thought for a solid second he was gonna paint Martin Luther King as a libertarian, which I don't know if that's true or not, but I was very much not here for it if that was what he was about to do, but thankfully he did not. I like how they only use black speakers if the statement is saying white people are being oppressed. Yeah, literally. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that they're giving people of color a space to talk on any subject, but, like, it seems like they only ever use black speakers whenever they want to talk about race. Like, can they not just let them talk about what they want to talk about, even if I don't agree with them? Like, I've only ever seen this channel have black people speak for it whenever they're talking about race. Like that's fine. Like, I don't see anything wrong with that. I feel like inherently, I feel like it is good to have a person of color talk on this issue, but not only let them talk on that issue. Like, for this particular video, yes, I think it is good to have a black person talking for it, but that doesn't mean that's the only thing that people on the channel should be allowed to talk about if they're a person of color. So, like, maybe let him make some other videos? I don't know. I don't like him, but at least let him have some diversity in his opinions.
No other majority white country has ever been led by a black man or woman. Blacks can demand opportunity.
Man, you're saying that like you would actually support Obama. Be quiet.
That's every American's right. We can demand freedom. That's every American's right. But we can't demand love. That's no one's right. And that brings me back to God.
That was so fucking funny. You can demand love. And let's talk about why you should love God.
Blacks have suffered mightily and prospered mightily in America. But in our long journey, we've always been headed in the right direction. Until now. Because we have taken a wrong turn. Away from God, where we have, as a community, always found strength and solace.
He does realize that not every black person is Christian, right? Or even religious at all, like, right? Can he read? Because I don't even know what to say to that. Not all black people are Christian. There are Muslim and Hindu and atheist black people. They're not, just because someone is the same race as you doesn't mean that they hold all the same ideals that you do.
And toward government, which offers us nothing but empty promises. I'm Jason Whitlock for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video.
That video was just a fucking mess, dude. That was just all over the place.
Hello, I'm right-wing misinformation, urging Austin to vote for Prop A. We all know Austin.
Thanks for doxing me, ad. God. Not an ad on PragerU literally telling people what city I live in. It's fine, I talk about it. I don't care. I just think it's funny. God, ad. On that note, though, since it brought up Austin, a fun fact about Austin, we have Quaker parrots, which are parrots that live in Austin. They're technically an invasive species, but they have lived here for over 40 years and have not been shown to cause any environmental damage. So they're trying to get protections for them because Austin Energy likes to do this asshole thing where they literally just kill them for nesting on their power lines. So, yeah, random Austin fact, we have parrots. I don't like Austin, but I do like our parrots.
The Lord is a God of social justice.
Oh yeah, this video's title is Social Justice Isn't Justice.
That's the message in maybe most churches and synagogues in America and the West today. But
not really, but it should be.
Here's the problem. The Bible doesn't actually say that. It says that
Does it really matter what the Bible says, though? Okay, but this lady, the way she did her eyebrows, she looks so angry.
Justice. You'll find a lot of references to justice in the Bible, but you'll never find it preceded by the word social.
Oh my fucking God, who cares?
What's the difference? Isn't God the God of justice and social justice? Well, not if he's consistent. You see, God cannot...
He's not consistent. Have you read the Bible? Bitch, have you read the Bible? It's not even consistent in one book, let alone one page. Don't pretend like it's consistent.
Be the God of justice and social justice, because social justice is not just. Justice is getting what you deserve without favor. Social justice is getting what you don't deserve because you are favored.
What? Fucking, oh my God.
Blind. Social justice is not. Let's say a man robs a store. Justice demands but one thing, that he be tried in a court of justice and, if he is found guilty, punished. That is not how social justice works. Social justice doesn't only ask if the person is guilty. It asks about his economic condition. Is he poor or wealthy?
I don't think she even understands what social justice means. It doesn't mean justice as in, like, in a court of law. It means, like, giving everyone the same rights. This lady literally just, like, did not even Google what it means.
About his upbringing. What kind of childhood did he have? About his race or ethnicity.
No, because it's not about getting tried in law. It's about everyone having equal rights. Bitch, you are stupid. Oh my God, we're barely a minute into this video, and this lady doesn't even know what she's talking about.
Is he a member of a group that has been historically oppressed? Justice demands that everyone be equal under the law. Social justice demands that everyone be equal. Period.
Yes, I feel like that's fair. Everyone should be equal. Yeah. Yes. I know she's going to argue that that's a bad thing, but it's really not.
Economically, socially, and in every other possible way.
Yes, that's a good thing for everyone to have the same rights.
Justice asks, who did it? Social justice asks, why did he do it?
Both of those are relevant questions, but that's also still not what social justice means. Also, she does realize that you can be acquitted due to, like, reason of insanity, right? Like, why you did it matters sometimes. Like, for example, what about Gypsy Rose Blanchard? She killed her mom, but I feel like it was basically... Or what about self-defense? Legal justice does ask why you did it because sometimes it's relevant. It's not always relevant, but, like, if someone breaks into your house and you shoot them, they should consider if it was self-defense or if you were being needlessly violent. Like, it is relevant why they did it, and I think that the law disagrees with you.
In all these social justice...
Yeah, she literally did pull it out of her ass.
The individual's own responsibility for what he did. That's why social justice advocates have abandoned the term justice. They deem justice alone as unfair.
No, they don't, because that's not what social justice means.
And sometimes it is. A man who is beaten by his father and abandoned by his mother is more likely to commit a violent crime than a man raised in a loving home. But those facts cannot and should not determine his innocence or guilt. Why? Because justice is first and foremost.
Yeah, but they should determine what kind of punishment he gets. What about, like, sending someone to rehab or therapy, as opposed to just sending them to jail?
About truth. Is the person guilty or innocent of the...
Also, the purpose of prison and stuff shouldn't just be needless punishment. It should be rehabilitation and reintroduction into society. And that's not possible for everyone because, you know, people like Jeffrey Dahmer exist and whatever. But for the most part, that should be the purpose of it, not needless punishment.
crime. None of us is omniscient.
None of us is omniscient. You mean... Oh my god, okay.
We don't know why people do what they do.
She can't even speak. It's none of us are omniscient. God, I can't even fucking handle this lady.
After all, the vast majority of people raised in abusive homes do not commit violent crimes.
Okay,
The
and?
vast majority of people who are members of an historically oppressed group. Being a victim, however that is defined, is no excuse for hurting other people.
No one said it
What
was.
about those who are hurt? The victims of those crimes. Shouldn't they and other law-abiding citizens be society's first consideration? Social justice advocates say no. They say we need social justice to even things out. And that means favoring the have-nots over the haves.
Nope.
The poor over the rich, the female over the male, and the brown or black over the white.
Oh man, alrighty.
The Bible does not see the world this way. In fact, it speaks against it in very explicit terms.
Love how she didn't even mention the Bible. It's just on the screen. Because we all know that the Bible is totally true.
Here's a law in the book of Exodus. Do not pervert justice.
That's not the law of countries. That's the law of the fucking Bible. The Bible should not be used whenever trying someone in a court of law in any country.
By siding with the crowd, and do not show favoritism to a poor person in a lawsuit. Here's one in Leviticus. Do not pervert justice.
Leviticus also tells you to smash a baby's skull, or to not boil things in milk. So I think we're gonna go with Leviticus is meaningless unless you are out there smashing babies' skulls open.
Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor justly. Moses, the greatest lawgiver in history.
I don't know, because she thinks that the Bible is apparently the law now. Bitch wants America to be a theocracy. Hello, eggnog.
Declares in Deuteronomy, follow justice and justice alone. And the New Testament declares in the book of Romans, God shows no partiality.
He kind of does, but okay.
None of this means that there is no place for compassion in a system of justice. Of course there is. The Bible is preoccupied with the protection of the widow, the orphan, and unfortunate.
Okay, first of all, no, it's not. And second of all, it doesn't matter if it is or not, because it's the Bible, not the Constitution, or any other country's, like, fucking laws. It's not about what the Bible says, it's what about the law says.
But compassion follows justice. It doesn't precede it. Also, justice in and of itself is compassionate.
Really? Is it really? I don't think the death penalty is that compassionate unless it's like a serial killer, so...
First to the victims of crime and to their loved ones. And second to the criminal. How can you become a better human being if you don't first recognize that you've done something wrong? That's...
Well, you can't if you're just stuck in a cell and aren't given any kind of therapy or rehab or anything, but apparently she doesn't want to talk about that.
Why,
Or if you're just flat out killed.
anytime we put an adjective before the word justice, we no longer have justice.
Yeah, literally. God does show favoritism. That's like the whole fucking gist of the Bible. These people have clearly never actually read the Bible, and it angers me very heavily because they cite the Bible whenever they're clearly just looking up verses that already agree with them. Like, actually go read it and get back to me.
Economic justice, racial justice, environmental justice, any form of social justice which seeks to correct actual justice undermines justice.
Oh my god, how many times can this bitch
If
say
social
justice?
is not a biblical concept, why do so many churches and synagogues promote it?
Because many Christians and Jews no longer regard biblical principles as binding.
Well, first of all, Jews don't believe in the Bible, just the Old Testament, so that's already not... Does she know anything? Judaism doesn't believe in the Bible. So no shit, it doesn't follow biblical principles.
Because it's a lot easier to dispense compassion than hold people to a biblical standard. And because leftism has superseded the Bible in many houses of worship. And leftism, as a guiding principle, holds that the weak are good and the powerful are bad.
No. People tend to get into positions of power through bad means, but that's not what it's saying. Christians would say America was founded on God. Oh yeah, unfortunately a lot of even really moderate Christians think that, and it's annoying. I unfortunately have to have read half the Bible, religious school, so I know about the bullshit in her. Yeah, I'm sorry you had to read it, because it's pretty boring, to be completely honest. I mean, not all of it is. It's just long and doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's why the great battle of our time is between Judeo-Christian values and leftist values. The former is rooted in justice.
No, the former is rooted in a book that's 2,000 years old and doesn't have, like, any credible sources in it, and the second one is based on treating people like people.
The latter is not. I'm Allie Beth Stuckey, host of Relatable on Blaze TV for Prager University.
Yeah, I don't think she should be in charge of a show called Relatable, because that's not very relatable. Oh my god, it's an anti-evolution video. Oh my god, I'ma fucking cry. Stop making me hungry. I haven't eaten anything today.
Evolution. You learned about it in high school. It goes like this.
The Bible is super boring and confusing. It really is.
And then gradually, over hundreds of millions...
I mean, what do they expect from a book written by, like, dozens of different people over the span of thousands of years?
Morphed into all the forms we see today. Bacteria to Beethoven. Not a straight line, of course, but that's roughly how it went. This was the theory proposed by Charles Darwin in 1859, and with some modifications...
Actually, no, Darwin did not entirely invent the theory of evolution. We had already kind of acknowledged that evolution was a thing, but didn't fully understand how it worked. Darwin didn't just pull evolution out of his ass. It was already somewhat of a questioned theory at the time. It just wasn't as proven as it is now. Darwin was the spearhead of it, but that doesn't mean that it didn't at all exist before Darwin.
It's been embraced as unassailable by the scientific community over the last century.
Yeah, because it is.
Evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins says,
"Don't you fucking dare slander Dawkins. If this man slanders Dawkins, I will punt him into the sun." Sorry, I just finished reading one of Dawkins' books like a few days ago for like the 5th time, so I am very passionate about Dawkins at the moment.
if you meet somebody who claims not to believe in evolution, that person is either ignorant, stupid, or insane. But is that right? Are there no...
Yes, it is. They're either uninformed, they're just flat out stupid, or there's something wrong with them. It's usually uninformed, I can say that. It's usually ignorant, but the way you compared the Bible to James Patterson book, but you're not wrong. At least James Patterson books are good. Oh, I said Richard Dawkins, not Patterson, but still, yeah, they are. I was talking about Dawkins, though.
Scientific reasons to doubt the evolutionary account of life's origins?
Not really.
In November 2016,
Also, evolution is not the origin of life. It's how it evolved. But try again, sir.
Attended a conference in London convened by some of the world's leading evolutionary biologists. The purpose? To address growing doubts about the modern version of Darwin's theory.
That really isn't a thing, though. The growing doubts are from people like you who know nothing about science, not from people who have even taken a 7th grade science class that they paid attention in.
Scientific reasons to doubt this theory.
Okay.
First, the Cambrian explosion. A weird and wonderful thing happened.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Okay, I'm gonna let him talk, but the Cambrian explosion, if anything, is due to an increase in oxygen in the atmosphere and in the water. So, the answer is oxygen before he even says anything. The answer is oxygen. Just be aware of that.
Happened 530 million years ago. A whole bunch of major groups of animals, what scientists call the phyla, appeared abruptly within a geologically short window of time, about 10 million years.
These novel animal forms exhibiting...
Who failed their 7th? I actually failed my 7th grade science class, but it was because I doxed the teacher because she was evil. I do not support doxing people unless it is Miss Butler. She is terrible, and I stand by that decision. I was in the state science fair, and she gave everyone her phone number because we were going out of town, and we were 7th graders out of the city in like a big weekend-long trip. So she gave everyone her phone number, and it was towards the end of the school year. And when I left, I posted her phone number. I used to have a big Instagram with like 10K followers. I posted her phone number on my Instagram and asked people to spam her, and they did. But I do quite enjoy science, so I just did not learn very much from that class because she was stupid and she hated me, which became justified later, but was initially not justified. I made it justified, but I, again, stand by that. She was an asshole.
Prototypes of most animal body designs we see today emerged in the fossil record without evidence of earlier ancestors.
Not true.
Did you catch that? A huge number of diverse animals appeared with no discernible antecedents.
Yeah, still not true.
So where did they come from?
Wait, okay, I'm gonna pause it for a sec. I want to see if they have sources. Okay, there's the script. I don't care. Nope, they have the script, but they don't have sources. If you're gonna talk about science, you need a source. Maybe I'm just missing it. I hope I'm just missing it, but they don't have any sources. Here, wait, let's see. Let's see if it's on here. This doesn't say it's sources, but maybe it is. Oh my god, they have their own website. Yeah, I'm already watching the video, whatever. Facts and sources. Okay, they do have sources. Okay, okay, here's the thing about the Cambrian period. Yeah, no, this is a Ken Ham website. So I'm going to go with Ken Ham is not a good source. Try again, PragerU. That's literally a Ken Ham website. Oh my god, they actually sourced a Ken... If you don't know who Ken Ham is, I did a stream about him yesterday. But, bruh, Ken Ham is not a good source about the Cambrian explosion.
This question really bothered Darwin, and he acknowledged that he could give it no satisfactory answer.
And that's okay. You don't have to
American
say you...
scientists today,
Actually, yes, they can. Again,
renowned
oxygen.
biologist Eugene Koonin of the National Center for Biotechnology
That's almost
Information
Eugenia
describes the
Cooney,
abrupt
and it bothers
appearance of
me.
Cambrian animals and other
Eugenia Cooney, the scientist.
organisms, such as dinosaurs, birds, flowering plants, and mammals, as a pattern of biological Big Bangs. So what caused all these new forms of life to arise?
An increase in oxygen in the atmosphere.
That question leads to a second big doubt. The DNA
Nope.
enigma.
This video is from 2019. It's not old. It's not like we don't know these things. It was an increase in oxygen due to an increase in similar kind of proto-plant-esque life. Can I have a pleasant chat with your Oh, I thought you meant my brother, and I was like, no. Also, I will snap your brother's neck. Give me his phone number. I will verbally snap his neck. Not actually. That was a joke. Honestly, same, dude. To the lemon head person. But we know it was because there was an increase in oxygen in the atmosphere due to the pre-existing, prototype plant life, which produces oxygen. And because the Earth was not so used to it, life got bigger. Pretty much all life relies on oxygen or carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. It's because there was an increase in oxygen. That's literally it. We know that. It's like 2 sentences. There's an increase in oxygen.
In the 1950s, James Watson and Francis Crick made a startling discovery. The DNA molecule stores information as a 4-character digital code. Strings of precisely sequenced chemicals inside the DNA helix store the instructions, the information, for building the crucial proteins that cells need to survive. Unless the chemical letters in the DNA text are sequenced properly, a protein molecule will not form.
Okay,
No
and
proteins, no cells.
what does
No
that have to
cells,
do with the Cambrian
no living
explosion?
organisms.
Okay, I think we moved on from the Cambrian explosion now, which annoys me that he did not bring up the oxygen thing, because that is a very widely accepted reason for why it happened. I literally watched a video about it, like, today. So, he just gonna move on from the Cambrian explosion without addressing the answer that has been scientifically proven? Like, go off, I guess.
Bill Gates has said DNA is like a software program. Let's think about that for a second.
Bill Gates is not an evolutionary biologist, but okay.
Computers to run faster and perform more functions, they require new code. Well, the same is true for life. To build new forms of life, the evolutionary process would need to produce new genetic information, new code.
Mutations, again, middle school science.
But this raises questions about the creative power of natural selection and mutation.
Does it really?
Natural selection is a simple sorting process. Species keep favorable mutations that allow them to survive, but eliminate bad mutations that cause their members to die out. No one doubts that natural selection is a real process, and that it
Really? Because it seems like you do.
produces minor variations. But many biologists now doubt that it produces major innovations in biological form.
Really? Because who said that?
To see why, think again about software. What happens if you introduce a few random changes into computer code? You'll likely mess it up, right? Though it might still work if you don't make too many changes. But if you make enough random changes, your program will stop functioning altogether.
Yeah, and that takes... What? That doesn't take, like, the billions of years that life has existed. But go off. And also, it's not favoring the proper ones, because it's code. Code does not reproduce, so I don't think that that's relevant.
You certainly can't keep doing this and expect some cool new program to pop out. There's a mathematical reason for this. In all codes and languages, there are
Oh man, that's fucking hurting my eyes.
vastly more ways of arranging characters that will generate gibberish than there are arrangements that will generate meaningful sequences.
Yeah, but again, code does not reproduce and does not take place over billions of years.
And this applies to DNA. Remember, natural selection only selects sequences that random mutations generate. Yet experiments have established that
Oh my god, this shit is hurting my eyes. Stop with the flashing.
Are extremely rare, and thus really hard to stumble on randomly. How rare? While working at Cambridge University, molecular biologist Douglas Ash showed that for every DNA sequence that generates a relatively short functional protein, there are 10 to the 77th power non-functional sequences.
Okay,
Now
and?
consider that there are only
Why are we talking about code like it's the same as DNA? It's really not. Just talk about DNA. You don't need to use a very poor analogy. Just talk about DNA instead of fucking code.
10 to the 65th power atoms in our galaxy. So finding a new DNA sequence capable of building a functional protein is like searching blindfolded for a single marked atom among a trillion Milky Way galaxies.
Okay, well, there are trillions of them. So, yeah, there was no flash warning. Otherwise, I wouldn't have clicked on it. Because, A, I don't want anyone to, like, have a seizure. And, B, it hurt my eyes. But, yeah, there was no flash warning because we love PragerU. But he does realize that there are trillions of those, right? Like, it is like doing that. But it's because that is what it is. Like, there are trillions of galaxies, so of course that's going to happen, and there's a reason that we haven't seen any other life, so that's actually kind of proving the opposite of his point. Yeah, code can't stand in for DNA. Like, if he was just using the little analogy for, like, the first little, like, 2 seconds with the Bill Gates thing or whatever, like, fine, that's a okay-ish way to explain it, I guess, but, like, you don't... Drop it now, please. Like, you're not helping your point. You're just convoluting it. Not you, the guy in the video.
About a needle in a haystack. As I show in my book Darwin's Doubt, even 4 billion years of life's history is not enough time to overcome a search problem this big.
Well, obviously it was, because we exist.
So 2
Also, Drake equation.
serious doubts about modern Darwinian theory. The Cambrian explosion, the sudden
Nope, oxygen still. You can't come back to that and not mention the oxygen, my dude.
appearance of new animals, which evolutionary theory has failed to explain, and the DNA enigma, the implausibility of random...
Yeah, code isn't a natural thing, and it's a collection of 1 and zeros. It's not thousands of different tiny little molecules. Like, a collection of ones and zeros is never going to be the same as DNA. I don't understand why this man just took that one small Bill Gates analogy and ran with it for the whole video.
And the mutations producing the information needed to build new forms of animal life. Scientists who know about these problems are not ignorant, stupid, or insane. They are just appropriately skeptical. I'm Stephen Meyer,
So skeptical. You're so skeptical that you believe in the Bible.
Senior Fellow at the Discovery Institute for Prager University.
Oh my god, his source was... Oh my god. He didn't even use an actual source, because that website that I went to, you know, the one that I said that's affiliated with Ken Ham? That's the website that he said he works for! Oh my god, you can't use your own word as source. You don't get to put your sources as yourself. You are not a source. Oh my god. Alrighty, well, have a good night.
Thank you for watching this video. To help keep PragerU videos free,
be your own boss and make quick, easy cash delivering.
Thank you, I already work for Favor. I don't need an ad, I already work there.
Is there such a thing as truth?
Oh, the video is called True for You, but not for me.
Or is everything, including truth, a statement of personal opinion or preference?
Nope, there is objective truth, like, you know, science.
In other words, is truth relative?
Nope.
For our purposes here, let's put aside the science angle. Yes, you can sit on a couch and not appear to be moving, but since the Earth at the equator is rotating at 1,100 miles per hour, you are, from
I love how he just completely said we're not going to talk about science.
that perspective, moving, and very fast. I'm not talking about that kind of relative. Let's confine ourselves to the more everyday questions of truth, like, does it exist? Once the answer to this question was obvious, usually confined to late-night discussions in college dorm rooms, but no longer. Truth is going through a tough time. A white woman...
It's really not. You just can't accept that science is a thing, my dude. Source, just trust me, dude. Yeah, literally. He cited his own website as a source. I can't.
feels black and represents herself to...
There actually is proof that God exists. There's not, but hit me with it, man. Send me a link. A credible one, a scientific one from a peer-reviewed journal. And also preferably not just one.
So, she rises in the leadership ranks of the NAACP until her fiction is exposed. She refuses to go quietly, however. She feels black, and so she is black. A 69-year-old man...
No, race is based on genetics. There are white-passing people of every race, even black people. So, no, that's not... Have you heard of St. Edward? Yes, and also, a saint is not a scientific source. A saint is a religious figure. So, yeah, that's not a source. A saint is not a source on scientific facts. I literally don't care about how you feel about my self-diagnosis video. We're talking about PragerU.
Man in the Netherlands petitions the court to legally change his age to 49 because that's how he feels. And of course, seemingly on a daily basis, men and more boys with all the chromosomes and body parts...
Oh my god, are we gonna get into fucking trans politics? Because I'm about to punt this man into the sun.
...that make them distinctly male declare themselves to be female.
Gender is different than sex, you fucking dumbass. Oh my god, gender and sex are not the same thing. I swear to god, this man is a dumbass.
And women and more girls likewise declare themselves to be male. They feel they're one sex or the other, therefore they are that sex and...
Nope, sex and gender are different. Stupid, oh my god. You mean more than what? Than what? What did I say? Because... Tell me, you can't expect me to know what you're talking about if you don't tell me, so...
We must accept that regardless of what the truth is. In a viral video, a 5'9" American Caucasian male asks students at the University of Washington to acknowledge that he's Chinese, or 6'5", or a woman.
Swear to God, is this guy referencing the... Oh my god, I can never remember his actual name. I just keep thinking of him as the Banana Man because it's like a meme. Oh my god, the New Zealand guy. Because there's a guy, this televangelist, like street preacher, goes around and makes videos like that. And I swear to God, that's what he's referencing. What do you mean, incorrupt? No, I don't want my fucking software. Go away.
Some hesitate, But no one will tell him what he's saying is not true, that he's not what he says he is.
Well, yeah, because you can't always tell looking at someone what their race is.
True for you, but not for me relativism is
No, it's just saying you can't always look at someone and tell what their race is. Yes, sir, that's called mummification. Go back to 5th grade. Mummification. There are natural mummies as opposed to just artificial mummies. Mummification.
Concerning because it requires the acceptance of obvious contradictions, denial of reality, and common sense. Rather than adjusting our lives to the...
Also, if anything, that's still not proof of God. Oh my god, God's Not Dead is the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. Yes, I have seen all 3 of them, and I made sure to not pay for them, because PureFlix does not deserve my money. Yeah, unfortunately, I have seen those movies, and for my poor eyes, and all the terrible... Actually, okay, wait, sorry for going on a tangent, but, you know, oh my god, what is his name? The guy who plays the atheist professor in the first God's Not Dead movie, I cannot remember his name. I met him at Comic-Con. Oh my god, what is his fucking name? I always know his name, and I can't remember it. Oh my god, okay, well... Kevin Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo plays the atheist teacher from God's Not Dead and is in a lot of really bad PureFlix movies, and I met him at Comic-Con, and I have a video of me and my ex talking to him on my old phone. And I literally fucking cannot with the fact that I have been making fun of those movies ever since they came out, and I met Kevin Sorbo, and I just fucking cannot. He's actually really nice. I didn't want to be rude to him because he was actually really nice, but man, yeah, those movies are something else, man. God's not dead, he's surely alive.
Truth. The truth has to adjust itself to us. But it's very difficult to live this way, not to mention it being highly impractical. We rely on mind-independent, universal truths in order to think clearly, to navigate life. Otherwise, we quickly get lost. There must be some things that just are, things that are true.
Yeah, no
This
shit.
light points north for everybody, no matter what anyone happens to prefer or sincerely believe.
Not technically. I can't remember what it's actually called, but the Suicide Force in Japan actually fucks with that. And a lot of places on Earth have weird magnetic things, so not necessarily, actually. That's a bad example.
So, what is truth? At its root, truth is a match-up with reality. A story, a statement, or belief is only true if it lines up with what's real. It's like a socket wrench.
Wow, thank you for explaining a word I learned whenever I was 5.
Truth maker. Reality makes something true. To say
I would, but copyright exists. I might make a video about it, but I can't do a live stream with it because I'll get copyright banned.
the earth is flat or the moon is made of green cheese is false. Why? Because it doesn't match up with reality.
Thank you, at least you're not a flat earther.
All education in large part was the pursuit of truth. The motto of Harvard University, for example, is Veritas, Latin for truth. No more. Anyone who says education should be about the pursuit of truth is immediately shot down with the comeback, whose truth?
No, they're really not, though. Everyone kind of, I feel like, agrees that education is learning things that are true. No one says that. And if they do, I think they need to go get an MRI because there's something wrong with their brain.
Increasingly, people speak of my truth or say...
Okay, again, Cake, you need to tell me what you're talking about because I can't agree or refute what you're saying if you don't tell me what you're talking about. So I would appreciate if you told me what you're referencing because I genuinely have no clue if you're not talking about the self-diagnosis thing. I have posted a lot of controversial opinions, some of which I agree with still and some of which I don't. So I would appreciate if you tell me what you're talking about. Because again, I can't have a conversation with you if you don't even tell me what you're talking about.
It's true for me, or your reality, as though truth is merely a matter of opinion or perspective. At the 2018 Golden Globe Awards, Oprah Winfrey famously said that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have. Now,
that's a saying, my dude. Saying speaking your truth is just another way to say speaking how you feel. I swear to God, if he turns that into some thing, which he totally is, otherwise he wouldn't have brought it up, I'm gonna fucking lose it, because that's not what that means.
You can have your experience or your perspective, but there's no such thing as your truth or...
Bruh, it's a saying.
There's only the truth.
It's a saying. You're taking it too literally.
As Wall Street Journal writer Byron Tao noted, Oprah employed a phrase that I've noticed a lot of other celebrities using these days. Your truth instead of the truth. But
because it
your
means
truth
how you
underlines the
feel.
idea of shared common facts.
No, I wouldn't ban religion. I don't like religion, and I think it's a bad thing, but that doesn't mean we should ban it. It's not going to make anyone stop believing in it to ban it. I think it should phase out naturally, which it's starting to do. So, no, there's no... Banning religion isn't going to stop anyone from believing in it. It's just going to persecute people needlessly. The only thing I would do regarding religion legally if I was in charge was to stop giving tax exemptions to places of worship. That's it. And that's assuming that they're not just charities. So that's really the only thing I would do is stop giving tax exemptions to places of worship. Banning religion accomplishes nothing. It doesn't stop anyone from believing in it. It doesn't stop people from sharing those beliefs. All it does is make them right whenever they say they're persecuted instead of make them wrong. So, no. I have stated many times, actually, that I don't think banning religion is helpful. In fact, I think it's much worse. Okay, first of all, I'm autistic. I can say retarded as much as I want. I am autistic. And, yeah, neopronouns aren't a thing. Sorry. But I'm autistic. I can say retarded as much as I want. I'm allowed to say it. And, yeah, neopronouns aren't a thing. So, fight me.
And here's another problem with your truth. If your truth is truth, anyone who doesn't hold that truth must be wrong. This sounds a lot...
Bruh, you are debating a saying that doesn't even actually... Okay, you know what? I'm just going to skip this video because he's not even talking about... Oh my god, okay. This one looks more interesting. Was Jesus a socialist? Jesus was probably not, but also he didn't even live in a time where that was a thing.
Was
Jesus
a socialist?
It really doesn't matter. Oh my god. Did this motherfucker just put a, like, commie outfit on Jesus and then say he was a socialist? Because communism and socialism are not the same thing. Hey, Tigerman, how are you? I am watching stupid PragerU videos.
Well, if socialism is nothing more than being kind to other people, then you might think the answer is yes.
That's not what socialism is.
And be a capitalist. John D. Rockefeller probably gave away more money than anyone in human history.
We're not even a minute into this, and there's already so much wrong with it. He literally thinks socialism is the same as communism. I can't.
And he was certainly a capitalist. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have given away millions, too. To get an accurate answer to our question, we need to define socialism. Socialism is the concentration of power into the hands of government elites to achieve the following purposes: central planning of the economy and the radical redistribution of wealth.
No, it's not, but okay.
Jesus never called for any of that.
No one claimed he did.
In the New Testament, does he advocate for the government to punish the rich or even to use tax money to help the poor?
Actually, it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. Fight me with your own fucking Bible, my man. Jesus said that it's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. Did you read the Bible? Everyone knows that quote. Everyone who's even heard of the Bible knows that quote. I'm sorry, but that is like one of the most basic Bible quotes. Literally, what?
Nor does he promote the ideas of state ownership of businesses or central planning of the economy.
Because he wasn't a political figure.
Jesus is confronted by a man who wants him to redistribute wealth.
He was a false prophet, not a fucking politician.
The inheritance with me. Jesus replies, "Man, who made me a judge or divider over you?" And then he rebukes the man for being envious of his sibling.
Okay, you don't have to like the word. I don't care, but I'm still allowed to say it. I'm not going to go call other people retarded, but I'm allowed to say that an object is retarded or a situation or myself is because I'm allowed to say it. So just because you don't like that I said it doesn't mean that I can't.
How about Jesus' parable of the talents? Talents were a form of money in Jesus' day. A man entrusted 3 of his workers with his wealth. The 2 who invested the money and made a profit were praised, and the one who buried his share so he wouldn't lose any of it was reprimanded. Sounds a lot more like an endorsement for capitalism than socialism, doesn't it?
No, it sounds like an ancient trade system.
Yes, Jesus spoke of the difficulty for a rich man to enter heaven.
See, there we go. He does know it. He just knows he's wrong.
But not because having money is evil. It's not money, rather it is the love of money the New Testament
Bruh. You just said the quote. You know that's not what it meant.
tells us that leads to evil.
As much as I don't like the Bible, I think everyone can agree that Jesus was a good and charitable person. I don't think that Jesus would like it very much if you were using him to defend your point. So, give me proof that Jesus was a false prophet. I don't think that he knew he was false, but there's no evidence that anything he did that was a miracle ever happened. And there's no evidence that God exists or that he rose from the dead. So as far as we're aware, none of the non-human things he did were, like, actually a thing. So until proven otherwise, I'm not going to believe that.
Jesus was warning us not to put acquisition of money and material possessions above our spiritual and moral lives.
Okay, and
Was
the
Jesus
point still
promoting
stands.
a socialist model when he kicked the money changers out of the temple in Jerusalem? Again, the answer is no. Note the location.
Oh
of
my
the
god,
incident
Jesus was not a fucking
It
politician.
was in the holiest of places. God.
Yeah, I know why people say that that's why they use neopronouns, but it doesn't mean that they're valid. They're either not words or they're not pronouns. I'm sorry I'm not going to call you frog, but that's not a gender. The purpose of having more than one set of pronouns is to indicate gender or lack thereof, and that's covered by he, she, and they. So, yeah, there's no purpose in them.
God's house. Jesus was not angry at buying and selling in and of themselves. He was angry that these things happened in a house of prayer. He never drove a money changer from a marketplace or from a bank.
This video is making me more angry
Jesus
than the
advises us to be a
atheist
generous
one.
spirit, to show kindness, to assist the widow and the orphan. But he clearly means this to be our responsibility, not the government's. Consider
Is being an aro lesbian valid? I mean, yeah, you can be attracted to women romantically and not sexually, so where did that even come from? I mean, I'm not one to determine if your sexuality is valid or not, as long as you're not, I don't know, a zoophile or a pedophile. It doesn't really matter. The problem I have with neopronouns and xenogenders is that there's a scientific basis to those things, and a sexuality is just who you're attracted to, so... You remember in the Bible when God threw a fit in the temple and... Yeah, love that.
Jesus' Good Samaritan story. A traveler comes upon a man at the side of a road. The man had been beaten and robbed and left half dead. What did the traveler, the Good Samaritan, do? He helps the unfortunate man on the spot with his own resources. Ask yourself, to help the poor, would Jesus prefer that you give your money freely to the Salvation Army, for example, or have it taxed by politicians to fund a welfare bureaucracy? Progressive.
You can do both, and also that's a very bad description of socialism. But even if it wasn't, you can still do both.
Like to point
But also don't give your money to the Salvation Army. They're really transphobic.
out that Jesus said, "Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's." But that has
Well, God doesn't
absolutely
exist, so he
nothing
doesn't
to do
own
with
anything.
taxes or wealth redistribution. It was the seed for the idea of separating church and state. It certainly wasn't the same as saying that whatever Caesar says is his must then be so, no matter how much he demands or what he intends to use it for. So there is no evidence that Jesus was a socialist.
Oh my god. What is even the point of this video? I don't think anyone's ever argued that Jesus was a socialist. Like, where did he come up with this video topic? Jesus was a religious figure, not a politician. Chick-fil-A is homophobic? Yeah, it's sad because I really like Chick-fil-A. I'm vegetarian, so all I can really eat there are fries anyway. But rest in peace, Chick-fil-A.
Evidence that he supported free markets. In addition to the parable of the talents, Jesus offers his parable of the workers in the vineyard. In it, a landowner hires some laborers to pick grapes. Near the end of the day, he realizes he needs more workers to get the job done. To recruit them, he agrees to pay a full day's wage for just 1 hour of work. When one of the laborers who had worked an entire day complains, the landowner answers, "I'm not being unfair to you, friend. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money?" That's a testament to the principles of supply and demand, of private property, and of voluntary contracts, not socialism. Jesus never
That has nothing to
endorsed
do with
the forced
socialism.
redistribution of wealth. That idea is rooted in envy, something that he and the 10th of the 10th...
It's not really rooted in envy to want free healthcare. I feel like that's a pretty reasonable thing to want, considering a lot of countries have it and it works pretty well in general.
Commandments rail against. Most importantly, Jesus cared about helping the less fortunate. He never would have approved anything that undermines wealth creation.
Well, he wasn't actually the Son of God. He's not omnipotent, so...
masses of people out of poverty is free market capitalism. Read the New Testament. The plain meaning of the text is loud and clear. Jesus was not a socialist. He couldn't be.
He also wasn't a capitalist. That wasn't even a thing then, and even if it was, he was still a religious figure and not a politician.
People, not the state.
Also, Jesus was literally a peasant. Like, his political opinions would not have mattered at the time either way.
Reed, president of the Foundation for Economic Education for Prager University.
Man, the whole point of that video was just so stupid.
You probably heard it's on the brink of famine and is the world's worst humanitarian crisis.
There's a book you can read.
Honestly, that's a good use of money.
Children that will make your job as a parent a lot easier. This book will teach them lessons in character.
Yeah, it's going to be the Bible. Please do not read the Bible to your children. It is not a child-appropriate book. It talks about abuse and sexual abuse and violence and murder and infanticide and, like, arson and shit. So, I'm going to go with, let's not read the Bible to our children.
How to distinguish right from wrong, about gratitude, respect, and perseverance.
And also how to murder babies, you know, the basics.
And that's in the opening chapters. Parents have been reading this book to their children for a very long time. It's one reason it's a perpetual bestseller. This book, of course...
Indoctrination is why it's a bestseller.
...is the Bible. And you don't have to be religious to read it, and your children don't have to be religious to enjoy it, and get a whole lot out of it.
Small children really should not be reading the Bible. I'm sorry. It just really should not.
Decency, kindness...
The Bible is worse than Game of Thrones, my dude. It's pretty violent.
Charity, selflessness, and sacrifice. They're all
stoning
right.
people, infanticide.
Consider the story of David and Goliath. 9 feet tall, clad in armor, Goliath is the most fearsome warrior of his day. How could he not be? He's 9 feet tall, for goodness sake. Who wants to go against a giant like that? No Israelite, that's for sure. Except for one. A skinny shepherd boy named David. This boy has 3 things going for him. Courage, a slingshot, and faith that God is with him.
Okay, we're not going to talk about, you know, Leviticus or...
As he strides out onto the battlefield to face Goliath in single combat, he holds the future of the Israelite...
Clown you. Yeah, I mean, they have some more educational videos, but most of them are stupid. Oh, I mean, God literally instructs you how to beat your slaves. God was pro-slavery. Well, not necessarily Jesus, but the Bible is pro-slavery. I mean, there's literally instructions on how to beat your slaves, so...
Nation, not to mention his own life, in his hands. Wrapped up in all of this tension and drama are valuable lessons that any child can profit from. David refuses to be intimidated by a bully. He's willing to act, to show his...
Or, you know, you could read them a children's book.
...resolve, even in the face of his own self-doubt.
Or what about Harry Potter? How about they read Harry Potter? Because... You know, Harry Potter.
His actions paint a portrait of true heroism in the face of true danger.
Again, Harry Potter.
Isn't it the kind of strength we want our children to emulate? To be able to defend themselves, and later, their families and their country.
Again, Harry Potter. Read them Harry Potter. It's both much more interesting, makes much more sense, and is somehow less violent than the Bible.
Or how about the story of the brothers, Cain and Abel?
That's not a very good child story, but okay.
Abel, the shepherd, looks at his lot and he's filled with gratitude for his blessings.
That little animation, though.
He offers as a gift to God the very best of his life. Cain, the farmer, is selfish, unsatisfied with what he has, and he offers only a paltry gift of grain. When God favors Abel's present, Cain allows jealousy to overwhelm him. God speaks to Cain and tells him, I know you're feeling angry, But you can overcome those feelings and master them. Cain doesn't listen, doesn't control his jealousy, and kills Abel.
Yeah, so that's not really a child-appropriate story. You just said it yourself. So, again, read Harry Potter. I mean, people die in Harry Potter too, but at least it's good.
When God asked Cain, where is Abel, your brother? Cain
If God's all-knowing, he should know.
lies and says, I do not know. And then, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, should have been Cain's answer to his own question. We are responsible for ourselves, and we have an obligation to others. We all have emotions and passions, but God has given us the tools to master those emotions. And master them we must if we are to live a productive and ethical life. Most important of all, life is a gift from God. We have no right to take it away from the innocent. Murder is
That's not why murder is wrong.
evil. All these lessons are...
Murder is evil because it hurts people and the family of those people, and it's not your right to take it away, but not because God made it. So, also, it's subjective. There are times whenever murder is the only option, like whenever people are floating on a raft and have to eat a dead body or something. Like, there are times whenever you do have, or self-defense. Morality isn't that straightforward.
are contained in this one story. The stories of David and Goliath and Cain and Abel are only two examples of the many invaluable lessons the Bible offers to children. Think of a lesson, and there's a Bible story to teach it.
How to stone infants.
About family dynamics, friendship,
stoning infants,
forgiveness, leadership, humility,
disease, violence, sexual abuse, arson.
About what is important and what is not. The Bible also teaches children, more effectively than any book ever, that they are not the center of the universe.
Harry Potter.
They're accountable to their parents and to God.
Harry Potter.
Children who internalize this lesson are much more likely to be kinder and more mindful of how they behave than those who do not.
Or you could just be a good role model.
Discourages narcissism. Of course, the Bible...
No, it discourages your narcissism, but it encourages God's narcissism.
The Bible is not merely a children's book. It's a library of wisdom for everyone. Here's how Abraham Lincoln, who was not a churchgoer, but who was steeped in the Bible, described it. In regard to this great book, it is the best gift God has given to man. But for it, we could not know right from wrong. And all things most desirable for man's welfare are to be found portrayed in it.
Okay, just because a good person believed in the Bible doesn't mean the Bible's true, my dude, or that it's appropriate for children. Just because Abraham Lincoln believed in the Bible doesn't mean that it's true.
As Lincoln suggests, the Bible is the moral foundation on which Western civilization is built and a point of shared reference. Up until the 1960s, you could cite a Bible story and most people knew exactly what you were talking about. Everyone from Shakespeare to Dickens to Franklin Roosevelt made great use of Bible stories to communicate their themes. We're losing that connection, and that is a terrible shame.
No, it's kind of a good thing. I mean, we should keep the history, but that doesn't mean that we should actually believe in it.
And a profound cultural loss. If you don't have some biblical literacy, you can't fully appreciate the powerful words of Martin Luther King, for example. Oh,
that's not true. I do think most people should have literacy over basic religious texts, because it's good to learn. But you can appreciate Martin Luther King being a good person without believing in the Bible.
Only if you know the story of Moses can you fully appreciate King's poetic vision of having seen the promised land. Of the Bible, Yale theologian George Lindbeck famously said, "There was a time when every educated person, no matter how professedly unbelieving or secular, knew the actual text from Genesis to Revelation."
Okay, but why is the Bible so special that it has to be the Bible? Why should people not know all of the Quran? Like, why is the Bible so special that everyone should know that one, but the other ones don't matter? Like, he does realize that there's other religions, right? Not that I'm defending those other religions, because I dislike them equally. But that being said, the Bible is not the center of the universe.
Our goal should be to get back to that kind of biblical literacy. And it starts with our...
Unless you're a biblical scholar, you really don't need to.
Children. Your children. Read them a Bible story tonight.
I don't have children, but if I did, I would not read it to them.
I'm Johnny Moore for Prager University.
This video was made possible by a generous grant from Colorado Christian University. Find out more about them.
Yeah, whenever I'm talking about these people, I'm talking about people like this, not all Christians. I mean, I do think Christianity as a concept and religion as a concept is harmful, but whenever I'm talking about videos like this, I'm aiming it at the people in the videos, unless I say otherwise. So yeah, I don't like Christianity as a concept. I don't, well, religion at all as a concept. But if I'm talking about it, I'm talking to, like, in regards to the people in the video. So no shade to you or whatever. Why God is a he? Oh man, this is going to be rife with some transphobia and sexism. I can feel it.
One of the criticisms many people make against the Bible is that it depicts God in male terms. The most obvious example...
Oh, we got Dennis Prager here, the OG.
...is God is referred to as he. Why did the Bible do this? Well...
because people are stupid and he doesn't exist, so it doesn't matter. I don't care what you call God, because he's not real.
Here's the answer. Because the Bible is preoccupied with making a kinder, less violent, more just world.
What, and only men can do that?
And I suspect you do. Then you'll have to agree the Bible made the right decision. Before I
mean, the Bible doesn't do that. If that's what it actually did, I would agree, but it doesn't do that.
Explain, however, I need to add an obvious caveat. The God of the Bible is neither male nor female. God transcends gender.
God is non-binary. 2021, God is non-binary. Non-binary God for president.
What I'm talking about here is why God is depicted in male terms in the Bible. Gender-wise, the Bible had three choices.
Oh god, these fucking flashy images. My eyes.
Masculine, he, feminine, she, or neuter, it. We can readily rule out neuter. For one thing, neuter nouns don't exist in Hebrew, the language of the Old Testament, which, after all, first introduced this God to us. Remember, the biblical God is a personal God, to whom we can and must relate. And we cannot relate to, let alone obey or love, an it.
Yes, you can. Non-binary people exist. Some people go by it pronouns. That's the only neo-pronoun that I'm actually okay with, is because it's a word. And, like, actually a pronoun, and not just a noun. So, yeah, you can respect people who go by they, them pronouns, or its pronouns. There's still people.
Aside from the language issue, the Bible depicts God in masculine terms because, one, the Hebrew Bible's primary concern is making a good world. Two, a good world can only be achieved by making good people. And three, the people who commit nearly all the world's violence are males. Therefore, it is in both men's and women's interests to depict God in the masculine.
Alrighty, well, you have a good night, too. Thank you for joining.
Why? Without a father or some other male rule giver, young men are likely to do great harm.
Not necessarily. People with single mothers or lesbian parents exist. Single mothers exist. Gay people exist. We are not imaginary. In fact, I know multiple people who are very good people who grew up with a single mother. So, yeah, you don't... Not everyone has a dad, and not everyone who doesn't have a dad is terrible. But go off, Dennis, whatever.
If there is no male authority figure to give a growing boy rules, it is very difficult for him to control his wilder impulses.
It's really not! Take him to a therapist!
As President Barack Obama told an audience in 2008, children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison.
Okay, I feel like that is woefully taken out of context, because based on Obama's beliefs and shit, I feel like he's probably advocating for social support, for things like helping poor people, and therapy, not saying that God is a man. I mean, I'm pretty sure Obama was Christian, otherwise he probably wouldn't have gotten elected, but that's definitely not what he was talking about.
Commenting on that speech, Dr. Alvin Poussant A psychiatrist with Harvard Medical School confirmed these statistics. The absence of fathers corresponds with a host of social ills, including dropping out of school and serving time in jail.
Okay, well, that's a social issue, not a God issue. And that's an issue of, we need financial support for people in impoverished areas. Not an issue of, men are superior. No, it's a please give people social support whenever they need it. Help people get financial support so that they can live better lives and healthier lives and grow up with better role models. Not if you don't have a man in your life, you're going to be a terrible person.
In other words, if one's primary goal is a good world, specifically a world with far less murder, child abuse, theft, and rape, the God depicted in masculine terms, a father in heaven, not a goddess, a mother in heaven, must be the source of moral commands.
Man, is that sexist. Oh, boy.
Such as do not murder and do not steal. If the father figure / rule giver that boys need is not on earth, a morally authoritative masculine God can serve as an effective substitute. Any discomfort you might feel with a masculine depiction of God is not comparable to the pain we will all feel if boys are not civilized into good men.
Bruh, that's just so terribly sexist. And what the fuck? How about we give fucking financial support to people with single mothers who have to work long hours? How about we do that instead of being sexist? I vote that we fucking help poor people instead of we be sexist. I feel like that's a pretty moderate opinion regardless of what your religion is.
To transform a wild boy into a good man, a male role model is as necessary as a male rule giver. So when the Bible depicts
You just need a role model and a reasonable rule giver. You don't need it to be a man.
God is merciful, compassionate, and caring for the poor and the widow, it is not so much interested in describing God as in providing a model for humans, especially males, to emulate.
Also, he does realize that women can be bad people too, right? Like, there are women criminals. Just because there are less of them doesn't mean that they don't exist. Like, there are specifically woman prisons. So I'm gonna go with it is not exclusively a male issue.
If God were depicted as female, young men would deem traits such as compassion, mercy, and care for the downtrodden as feminine, and would not identify with them.
No, that's an issue of being sexist. That's not an issue of God. That's an issue of we should not make good traits masculine or feminine. They should just be good. That's a fucking societal issue.
But if God, their Father in heaven who is strong, on occasion even a warrior, cares for the poor and loves justice, mercy, and kindness, then these traits are also masculine and to be emulated. The argument that girls equally need female role models to avoid violence is objectively not true, because the problem of mayhem and violence is overwhelmingly a male one.
Bruh, no. No, it's really not. There are terrible women, too. Just because there might be more terrible men doesn't mean that women just don't need role models. Like, what?
Of course, girls need female role models, but not to avoid violence.
That's not... Oh my god, this man.
And, like boys, girls are more likely to obey a male authority figure. A report released by the Minnesota Psychological Association...
I mean, I don't think God exists, but I do think that if God exists, that he would not have a gender. Because, I mean, it's a god. It's not a human. But I don't think he exists, but if he did, I would think God would either be a woman, because women give birth and are, like, life givers, or non-binary, because he's not a human. He's a god. He is above gender. But, you know, this guy is stupid and thinks that only men can have power, apparently.
Association concluded, in a study of female inmates, more than half came from a father-absent home. It is therefore ironic that some women are attempting to render the God of Western religious morality less masculine because if their goal is achieved, it is women who will suffer most from lawless males.
It's really not.
We have too many absent fathers on earth to begin to even entertain the thought of having no father in heaven. I'm Dennis Prager. Thank you for watching this video.
That was one of the stupidest videos I think I've ever seen.
Just letting myself shine. That's beauty to me. Glossy is for everyone.
Ugh, ads.
How did we get here? I mean, literally. Not
Birth.
just you and me, but the whole shebang.
Gravity.
How is any kind of life possible? The universe.
Oh yeah, this video is called What's a Greater Leap of Faith, God or the Multiverse? Well, you can believe in just one universe and still not God, so it's not mutually exclusive.
The universe is a hostile place. Solar flares, cosmic rays, asteroids flying about. The odds against our existence are truly astronomical.
No, they're not, because we exist.
Take it from me. I'm an astrophysicist. My job is to look out into space at stars and galaxies, trying to answer these basic...
Okay, but you're not an evolutionary biologist.
How did the universe come to be questions? Well, those who have a religious faith have an answer. God. The Earth's distance from the sun, the size of the atom, and 1,000 other things large and small that allow us to live and to breathe and to think all seem perfectly tuned for our...
They're really not. There's a reason that we can barely leave the Earth and have to be in a giant spacesuit that's nearly impossible to move in. It's not perfectly tuned. The fine-tuning argument is a terrible one, because even on Earth there are so many places we can't go.
Existence. To many, this design suggests a designer. But from a purely scientific point of view, the faithful have a big problem. They can offer no indisputable proof for this belief.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of hard evidence, it's probably not surprising that over 70% of the members of the National Academy of Sciences declare themselves to be atheists.
As they should. Sir, you are in the minority for a good reason. Also, why does this man think that being an astrophysicist is a good source for talking about biology? Like, clearly he's smart, but he's still not a biologist.
But they have a big problem, too. Absent a creator, how did they account for the existence of the universe, of planet Earth, of human consciousness? How do they account for the existence of anything? Well, it turns out they have an answer, and it's become all the rage in scientific circles. It's called the multiverse, and according to many scientists, our universe isn't the whole ballgame. Far from it. These scientists argue that there's an awful lot of universes out there, not just one or two, but an infinite number of them. Let me explain. 13.8 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang from something unimaginably small. We don't know exactly what. The universe exploded into existence. How?
Personally, this is just my opinion. There's a lot of different theories for how the Big Bang came into existence. The one that I personally like to go by, just because it makes the most sense and has a decent amount of evidence, is technically called the Big Crunch. It just encompasses the Big Bang. Basically, the universe expands and collapses in on itself, and the Big Bang was actually all of that matter hitting each other and exploding back out again. And it's basically a proven fact that the universe will enter a state of true entropy, where this will happen, where everything is equally distanced and everything cannot interact with each other anymore, and will basically pop like a balloon, but inwards. So, yeah, I might pull up a video on that later, actually, because that's pretty interesting in my opinion.
How did it happen? Why did it happen? Doesn't matter.
Why is not a scientific question.
It happened. Immediately after the Big Bang, the universe underwent a rapid expansion. Think of a gush of bubbles exploding from a seriously shaken soda can just after it's popped open. Cosmologists call this the theory of inflation. As the universe inflates and expands, the bubble universes grow and separate to become their own distinct entities, each with their own unique properties. In other words, new universes are spawned, and not just a handful, an infinite number of them. Some of these universes will be too cold for life and some too hot. But with an infinite number, surely one is bound to get it just right. In short, you and I are just an accident that, given enough universes, was inevitable. But wait, there's more.
I mean, given enough planets, it's inevitable. This man should know what the Fermi paradox is, because he's a fucking astrophysicist, so how does he account for that?
Because there are so many universes, it's very likely, according to the multiverse scenario,
that everything that could possibly happen does happen in one universe or another. That girlfriend who broke up with you, you're married to her in another universe. Does this sound a bit far-fetched, a little too science fiction-y? Well, not to Nobel Prize-winning scientists like Steven Weinberg or the famed cosmologist Stephen Hawking, as well as a myriad of others who wholeheartedly endorse it. But here's what's really surprising. They endorse it knowing there's not a single shred of hard scientific evidence that supports it. And how...
There is still math behind it, and it still follows the laws of physics, unlike religion. No one's really claiming it's an objective fact like this guy thinks they are. They're just saying it's mathematically possible and likely. Like, the Bible doesn't even have the math behind it to do that. At least it's mathematically possible for there to be a multiverse. So, like, that's still more proof than he has, even if it's not definitive.
How can there be? There's no way we can access another universe. In short, a vast number of the world's most eminent scientists believe in something that hasn't been, and in all likelihood will never be proven. How does that sound to you? Probably
Saying it never will be is a very arbitrary statement. You don't know that.
the same way it sounds to the distinguished physicist Paul Davies. Invoking an infinity of unseen universes to explain the unusual features of the one we do see is just as made up as invoking an unseen creator. The multiverse theory may be dressed up in scientific language, but in essence, it requires the same leap of faith.
No, it doesn't. Math.
Or, as G.K. Chesterton quipped, when men stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing. They believe in anything. For multiverse believers, this is literally true. The same scientists who reject God's existence due to the lack of evidence pin their hopes on a theory so all-inclusive and vague, it could never be refuted.
It's really not vague. He just clearly doesn't understand it. I'm fucking 21 and I understand it better than him. He's a fucking astrophysicist. Bruh. And he literally said earlier that 70% of his field disagrees with him. So, that's, honestly, I don't know how this man got into school.
Those who believe God created the universe are intellectually honest enough to admit that they do so on the basis of faith. But those who believe...
They're not intellectually honest because they're just following a book filled with contradictions.
Believe in the multiverse are also keeping the faith. They just don't admit it.
Oh
So
my
let me
god.
ask you,
And he says that like
who's
faith is a
taking
good
the
thing.
bigger leap? I'm Brian Keating, professor of physics at the University of California, San Diego for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video.
How the fuck did that man even get into school, let alone, like, graduate?
Very disturbing news out of Vernon Central High School.
What's going on? Undertax and students have good.
I'm skipping this one, it doesn't look very interesting. Is there a life after the... Oh, we got the OG, Dennis Prager. Okay, is there a life after this life? I feel like I can confidently say no, but let's go.
Life after this life ends? There probably isn't a human being who hasn't asked this question at one time or another. And here's the answer.
No.
If there is a God, there is an afterlife.
No, what about a deistic god? Or what about people who believe in reincarnation? No.
It's that simple. And here's why. First, this life is filled with an immeasurable amount of injustice and suffering. The only way there can be some ultimate justice for victims of evil is if there is an afterlife.
Not all gods are supposedly quote-unquote just like the Christian God, though. Non-Abrahamic gods exist. What? Also, some people believe in reincarnation. And some religions don't have an afterlife. So be quiet, sir.
And the only way comfort is available to those who suffer unjustly, from painful disease and premature death to the death of a child, is if there is an afterlife. But such an afterlife exists only if there is a good and just God.
No, not really.
A good and just God.
They can exist independently of each other. Not that either of them do, but...
in this world. Second, since God is not physical, the physical world is not the only reality.
Again, no proof.
There is also a non-physical reality. And we humans have a part of us which, being non-physical, survives the death of our body.
No, we don't. There's no proof of that.
But if there is no God, this physical life is all there is.
Yeah, maybe you don't like that, but it doesn't mean that's not true.
So, no God, no soul, no afterlife. Now, of course, those who doubt God's existence have every reason to doubt an afterlife. But if you believe in a good God, then you have to believe there's an afterlife.
No, you don't. And also, the God of the Bible is not a good one.
If you say you believe in God, but not in an afterlife,
Why are these people blue?
the God you believe in is not only not good, that God is cruel. That God
Like
made
the
a
God
world
of the
filled with
Bible.
unjust suffering, and just left it at that. Now, some people who don't believe in an afterlife offer their own version of immortality. I once attended a funeral where the man officiating said, "While there is no afterlife, we do live on, through our good works and in the memories of loved ones."
That's good
That's
enough
what
for
a lot of
me.
people who reject an afterlife want to believe. But the idea that human beings live on through their good works or through the memories of loved ones, which generally means a person's children or grandchildren, is simply meaningless.
It's really not. What about, like, Martin Luther King or Einstein? Like, there are a lot, or even people that died, like, thousands of years ago. What about Jesus? Huh? Like, there are plenty of people that have been long dead and their influence still, like, is here today and we know them by name, so...
If people live on through their good works, then children who die don't live on. The number of good works most children are even capable of is minuscule. As for babies who die, well, babies can't engage in good works at all, so I guess they just don't live on.
Okay, but what's wrong with that?
Anyway, the truth is that bad works usually live on longer than nearly any good works.
Not necessarily true. It's true in some cases, like Hitler, although he didn't really have any good works, but except like ugly German Shepherd paintings, which I feel like is more of a crime than good works. But literally, like, it doesn't have to have a meaning. He's doing such an appeal to emotion. There doesn't have to be a meaning. There doesn't have to be some kind of living on. Just because you don't like that doesn't mean that there has to be one. This is literally just an appeal to emotion.
In fact, if works make us immortal, Hitler, with all the evil he did, is far more immortal than the kindest people on earth. As for living on in the memories of our children, what do we say to those who have no children? Sorry, you don't live on.
Okay, first of all, people know other people than just their children, but also, it doesn't matter. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not true. You don't have to like it for it to be true.
Moreover, living on in anyone's memory, as beautiful as that is not the same as immortality or an afterlife.
No one's claiming it is. You're just stupid, Dennis.
As Woody Allen put it, I don't want to achieve immortality through my work. I want to achieve it through not dying. If there's no afterlife, we don't live on.
Okay, and?
Let's be honest enough to acknowledge that. If there's no afterlife, none of us will ever again be with those we most love and who love us.
Just because you don't like it, oh my god, how many times do I have to say that? You don't have to like something for it to be true. Oh, the bunny just yawned. Thank you for healing the emotional wounds that this video is giving me, Eggnog.
If there's no afterlife, neither anyone murdered nor any murderer will ever receive ultimate justice. If there's no afterlife, this life, for the vast majority of people who ever lived, and for those alive now, is a meaningless crapshoot.
Again, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not true.
Finally, people always ask me, so what happens in the afterlife?
Nothing, because it's not
I
real.
respond, I don't know, but I do know this. My belief in God and the afterlife keeps me sane.
Well, that's kind of a problem if that's the only thing keeping you sane. What, are you just going to go on a killing spree if you stop believing in God? Like,
the thought that this life is all there is means that torturers get away with the horrors they have engaged in.
yeah, they do, and that sucks. But that doesn't mean it's not true.
And it means that I will never again see anyone I love.
Yep. Sucks, but it's still true.
This would drive me mad. In fact,
Then see a doctor.
I don't see how it wouldn't drive anyone mad who cares about suffering and who loves anyone.
Well, that's why we should make the most of life and, donate to charity. Again, free healthcare. Donate to charity. Be decent humans. Go volunteer somewhere. Because cell decay and become weaker, and that is what death is if you die naturally. Yeah, usually it's through something like cancer, because your cells... Fun science fact, there is a thing on the end of each of your DNA strands called a telomere, and they help regenerate your cells, but they basically get shorter with every regeneration, and as you get older, there are fewer and fewer of them, making it more likely for there to be mutations in your genes, which is why it is more likely that older people get things like cancer, because their genes start to mutate. Okay, random science fact over.
So is there an afterlife?
Nope.
If there is a God, of course there is.
Nope, there's not just the Christian God. There's other gods.
Thank you for watching this video. PragerU is a non-profit, and
I'm probably going to end the live because, like I said earlier, I have not eaten anything in over a day. So I'm going to head out. I may or may not be back. We will see. But yeah, bye guys. Thank you for watching. Sorry you had to put up with Dennis Prager's bullshit. Have a good night or day.